Understanding Winnicott's theory of potential space, play, and the true self. There is a space, neither fully inside you nor fully outside, a space not made of walls or matter, but of trust, imagination, and connection. In this space, you discover your first smile, your first symbol, your first story, your first self. It is not a fantasy. It is where the soul begins. Donald Winnicott called it the potential space. Today, on Chronicles of Legends, we explore one of the most quietly profound thinkers of the 20th century, Donald Winnicott, the pediatrician psychoanalyst who taught us that to play is not just to pretend, it is to become. Donald Woods Winnicott was born in Plymouth, England in 1896 into a wealthy and religious family. Trained as a medical doctor and pediatrician, he served as a consultant at the Paddington Green Children's Hospital for over 40 years. But it wasn't just the body he sought to heal, it was the inner world of the child. Influenced by Sigmund Freud and later working with Melanie Klein, Winnicott stepped deeper into the realm of psychoanalysis. Yet unlike many of his peers, he wasn't interested in abstract theory for its own sake. He studied mothers, infants, and the silent poetry of their everyday interactions. And from these quiet moments, he built a theory that would echo through modern psychology. Imagine a child clutching a blanket, a teddy bear, a thumb pressed to their lips, not just for comfort, but as a bridge. Winnicott introduced the idea of the transitional object, an item the infant uses to transition from absolute dependence to emerging independence. The object is neither fully me nor fully not me. It occupies that mysterious, sacred middle ground between self and other. This, Winnicott said, is the beginning of the potential space, the in-between where we begin to play, to imagine, and eventually to create culture itself. What exactly is potential space? Winnicott describes it as the emotional and psychological space that arises between infant and caregiver, and later between individual and society. It's where the infant begins to explore, not in fear, but in trust. This space isn't built on logic. It is built on experience, on the mother's consistency, on her attunement, on her ability to hold the baby in a way that makes the world feel safe. From this space, all symbolic life flows. Play, art, religion, philosophy, imagination. This is where the human spirit awakens. For Winnicott, play wasn't trivial. It was sacred. When children play, they're not escaping reality. They're constructing it. In the potential space of play, they try out roles, confront fears, simulate relationships. They create meaning. They express true self. Winnicott believed that adults lose touch with this space, not because they grow up, but because they forget how to play with authenticity. They trade play for performance. He wrote, "It is in playing, and only in playing, that the individual child or adult is able to be creative and to use the whole personality." If we lose the ability to play, we lose access to the part of ourselves that can grow, imagine, and love. Winnicott's vision of the psyche was profoundly relational. He didn't believe we are born with fully formed identities. Instead, the true self emerges only when the child is seen, held, and mirrored authentically by the caregiver. It is the spontaneous gesture, the unfiltered emotional response, the creative impulse. But when the caregiver fails to attune, when the child must adapt to please, to avoid pain, to survive, another self is formed, the false self. This false self wears a mask. It performs, it protects, but over time, it can imprison. The individual may feel empty, depressed, or alienated, even if externally they seem fine. To rediscover the true self, one must return to the potential space and learn to play again, with courage, with vulnerability, with truth. Winnicott extended his theory beyond childhood into the very heart of civilization. He saw art, music, religion, and culture as extensions of the same potential space. When a society allows its people to explore this space, to imagine, to create, to challenge norms, human flourishing occurs. But when society becomes rigid, when rules replace play, when conformity crushes spontaneity, we suffer. In today's world of productivity, hyper-rationality, and digital noise, Winnicott's message is clear. Without space for play, there can be no self. Without room for creativity, there can be no freedom. Winnicott didn't offer grand systems or sweeping doctrines. He offered something quieter, more intimate. He reminded us that our most essential truths begin not in thought, but in relationship, in trust, in play. He reminded us that we are not born complete, but created in the space between ourselves and others, and that in this space lies freedom, creativity, and the self we were always meant to become. This was Donald Winnicott, not just a psychoanalyst, a guardian of the sacred in-between. Subscribe to Chronicles of Legends for more stories that pierce beyond history into the depths of what it means to be human.